Chapter 1: The Invisible Map. Welcome to Synapse Daily. Close your eyes for a moment. Look at a Soviet map from 1978. You see vast forests and winding rivers. But the map is lying to you. Entire cities are missing from the paper. The USSR deleted 1 million people. These were the secret ZATO entities. They had no names. They only had postal codes. Imagine living in a ghost city. You exist, but the world cannot see you. The Kremlin perfected this dark art. They hid history beneath the trees. Barbed wire replaced the city limits. AK-47s greeted any lost travelers. Why hide entire metropolises from the sun? This was a game of deep shadows. American satellites watched from high above. The Soviets built a world of ghosts. Every brick was a top-secret secret. Your birth certificate listed a fake place. Your death certificate was a coded lie. Today, we peel back the Iron Curtain. We find the people living in silence. The ink was replaced by cold fear. Welcome to the reality of the invisible map. Like this video. Comment your thoughts below and subscribe for more fascinating stories. Chapter 2: The Birth of Artemis 16. Our journey leads us to Sarev. By 1946, Sarev ceased to exist. It became a blank space on maps. The world knew it as Artemis 16. It was the Soviet nuclear soul. In 1978, it was a forbidden fortress. The Soviet hydrogen bomb lived here. The air smelled like ozone in winter. Stalin's secret police designed this place. They used gulag labor for the walls. Brilliant scientists worked beside broken prisoners. The contrast was haunting and deep. Scientists were treated like gods. Yet, they were prisoners of their minds. They never left without KGB guards. The city had double road fences. Motion sensors tracked every single breath. Snipers had orders to shoot first. No one entered Artemis 16 by accident. It was a fortress of deadly secrets. Corridors smelled of wax and paranoia. The most dangerous secrets lived here. They whispered in the dark rooms. Chapter 3: The Golden Cage. Let's discuss the Golden Cage concept. Life in a ZATO was a bribe. Regular Soviets stood in long lines. They struggled for bread and meat. But secret city residents lived in luxury. The shops were full of French perfumes. They had Hungarian wines and fine chocolate. The schools were the best in Russia. The hospitals had futuristic medical gear. But this luxury had a heavy price. Your soul belonged to the state. In 1978, surveillance was everywhere. The KGB recorded every phone call. They read every single private letter. Unauthorized friendships were strictly forbidden. You lied to your own mother. You used a fake city address. You were well fed but totally trapped. The state provided everything for silence. It was a perfect, silent vacuum. What is steak worth without freedom? Can you enjoy a cage made of gold? You were a ghost in a palace. Chapter 4: The 1978 Decree. 1978 was a year of extreme fear. A new secret decree changed everything. The KGB tightened the iron grip. Western satellites were getting too powerful. They could see license plates from space. The Kremlin panicked at the sky. Partially closed cities became dead zones. Security became existential grade for all. Every resident faced deep psychological tests. The state looked for Western rot. They feared any sign of mental instability. The phantom cities became even darker. The USSR built massive fake factories. They used decoys to trick the satellites. The real work stayed deep underground. The atmosphere became thick and suffocating. Banned magazines meant a one-way trip. The Gulag waited for the curious. The decree was very clear. The city is the secret. You are just a temporary shadow. The walls grew higher that year. Chapter 5, Chelyabinsk 40, the plutonium grave. Artemis was the mind. Chelyabinsk 40 was the dark heart. It sits deep in the Ural Mountains. This was the cradle of plutonium. By 1978, it was a massive graveyard. The secrecy hid a nuclear nightmare. A waste tank exploded in 1957. This was the KYSHTYM disaster. The Soviet government said nothing. They let the radioactive cloud drift. Thousands of people breathed the poison. By 1978, the Earth was dying. Lakes looked beautiful but were lethal. Doctors called radiation special disease 1. They were forbidden from telling the truth. The city was a living experiment. The KGB monitored the slow deaths. They wanted data on human radiation. Residents were elite workers of the apocalypse. They lived in a high-tech tomb. The silence was a thick, heavy blanket. The bomb mattered more than people. Chapter 6, the Techa River Horror. Follow the water to find the truth. The Techa River flows through the Urals. Once, it was a source of life. The Mayak plant changed that forever. Secret masters used it as a trash can. They dumped liquid nuclear waste inside. Millions of Curies entered the water. By 1978, the river was liquid death. It was a flowing ribbon of poison. Imagine a villager in Maslyamovo. You live just outside the secret fence. The state says the river is special. You are forbidden from swimming there. But your cows drink from the bank. Your children play in the glowing mud. KGB agents watch from the dark trees. They don't warn you about the danger. They only take notes on your health. You suffer from the stone disease. This was a code for horrific cancers. Secrecy orders made the truth a crime. Measuring radiation meant a prison sentence. Whistleblowers disappeared into the cold gulag. The river became a ghost story. The water shimmered with a blue light. It was beautiful but purely lethal. Progress was measured in broken bones. Chapter 7, Mirny, the Diamond Vortex. We fly east to the Siberian frost. The earth is hollowed out here. This is the city of Mirny. It was built on ice and diamonds. The Mir mine is a massive hole. It is a terrifying, deep circular abyss. The hole creates its own weather system. It pulls helicopters from the sky. In 1978, Mirny fueled the Soviet economy. The Kremlin needed hard Western currency. Siberian diamonds were the perfect answer. But you must hide such a hole. The scale of the mine was secret. The town was a high-order closed zone. Temperatures dropped to -50 degrees. Workers fought the cold and the KGB. The secrecy involved a hidden global deal. The USSR sold diamonds to De Beers. Capitalists and communists made a secret pact. Mirny had to remain a ghost town. No foreign journalists were ever allowed. No maps showed the massive vortex. Miners were called socialist heroes. In reality, they were cogs in machines. They pulled light from the frozen dark. The state kept their lives a myth. Chapter 8, the Science Cities, Naukograds. Secret cities weren't just for soldiers. The Naukograds were for the brilliant minds. Cities like Akademgorodok were intellectual islands. They were the Soviet Silicon Valleys. But you were never allowed to leave. In 1978, these were elite prisons. The architecture was grand but brutal. Scientists debated physics in white coats. They felt free within the city walls. They read banned papers in secret libraries. This was the Kremlin's grand bargain. We give you resources for your mind. You give us your entire identity. These people were the post-box elite. They had no names in public. Discoveries belonged only to the Institute. While the West built personal computers, these scientists built secret laser weapons. They lived in a world of thought. Forests and fences surrounded their brilliance. They designed a classified future. Their achievements were never celebrated. They were ghosts of the Soviet mind. Chapter 9: The Mailbox System. How do you connect with a ghost? The USSR perfected the mailbox system. By 1978, it was a masterpiece. You had no real street address. Artemis 16 was simply Moscow 300. Chelyabinsk 40 was known as Chelyabinsk 65. This system erased your physical location. Your family never knew your coordinates. Letters were sent to central sorting hubs. A KGB censor read every single word. They looked for hints of locations. They searched for signs of low morale. The mail was then flown inside secretly. Return addresses were always fake. This created a society of displaced souls. You were present but geographically absent. Children asked where they lived. Parents answered with a forced silence. You lived on land with no name. You were a number in a drawer. The state hid you from yourself. Reality became a top-secret document. Chapter 10: Psychological Toll of Secrecy. Secret cities created a new human breed. We call it the ZATO personality. Children learn silence before they learn speech. Inside these walls, whispers were dangerous. In 1978, the KGB guarded every mind. Double lives were a basic survival tool. You were Ivan at home, a ghost outside. Mentioning a blue flash meant total disappearance. The state destroyed the concept of trust. Your best friend might be an informant. People lived in internal emigration zones. They hid inside books and complex math. The pressure was a slow, invisible poison. Traveling outside required a fake life story. Physicists pretended to be simple librarians. You lied to your mother and yourself. The ZATOs were prisons of the soul. Honesty was a luxury no one possessed. The state owned your thoughts and secrets. Silence became the only safe language. Chapter 11: The Dead Hand Connection. The Cold War reached a boiling point. Secret cities shifted their dark purpose. Survival turned into a plan for revenge. Deep in the Urals, a machine woke. The Soviets called it Project Perimeter. The West called it the Dead Hand. In 1978, workers carved deep granite bunkers. They built command centers for the apocalypse. The machine was a terrifying, automated ghost. It could launch nukes without human orders. The system lived inside fortified phantom cities. These were the brain nodes of doom. Imagine working in a subterranean tomb. You monitor sensors for the end times. You are the guardian of a graveyard. The secrecy here was absolute and heavy. The machine needed to stay perfectly hidden. If the West knew, they could strike. Mesguri remained a shadow in the mountains. It was a mechanical insurance for death. Silent sentinels waited for the final signal. Chapter 12: The Fall of the Curtain. 1978 was the peak of the system. But the iron grip began to slip. By the late 80s, reality finally broke. Gorbachev's policies hit like a massive storm. Glasnost forced the invisible maps to bleed. Secret cities finally revealed their hidden names. But the opening was not a dream. For many, it was a waking nightmare. The golden cage lost its precious gold. Luxury food disappeared from the elite shops. Funding for the secret labs simply died. Scientists became poor and lost their status. The gates opened, but many stayed inside. They feared the chaos of the outside world. The snipers remained at the high fences. Modern Russia kept many cities strictly closed. The 1978 spirit still lives in Serif. The ghosts never truly left the bunkers. They only changed their secret codes. Chapter 13: The Legacy of Silence. We reach the end of the shadows. The phantom cities are monuments of control. They show how empires hide the truth. History is written in the blank spaces. The legacy lives in irradiated river silt. It lives in the Siberian diamond abyss. The secret cities had a dark half-life. Secrecy always demands a massive human price. Generations' identities were erased for the bomb. In 1978, the USSR chose total invisibility. They built a world disconnected from humanity. The blank spaces on maps aren't empty. They are full of ghosts and whispers. Look closer at the map you see. Some secrets are still waiting for light. Thank you for listening to Synapse Daily. We explore the margins of the world. Like this video if you learned something new. Comment your thoughts below and subscribe for more fascinating stories.